What does synergy mean? The definition from the dictionary.com says this. Synergy is the interaction of elements that when combined produce a total effect greater than the sum of the individual elements or contributions. So synergy is when you have a bunch of stuff that may be, okay, so this has a little value over here, this has a little value over here, this has a little value over here, but when you put it all together and you mix it up, the sum of it is greater than the individual, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That's what synergy is. I'll give you an example to explain what synergy is. One time, my dad asked my children to do some chores for him around the house. He said, I need chores and I'll pay them. We said, no, Dad, don't pay them. He said, no, I want to pay them. Don't pay. Okay, he's going to pay them. They went to his house. They worked for 8 minutes. They each received a $100 bill. Did they earn the $100? No, because if they did, that's an equivalent of $750 per hour at that rate, okay? At the rate that my dad is shelling it out. But even though the chores did not earn the money, would they have gotten the money if they didn't do the chores? No. That's synergy. Synergy means you got to do your part and then God will do his part. But your part isn't as strong. Like your part is actually nothing. Like the 8 minutes of work isn't really nothing. But if you don't do your part, then God's not going to do his part. Do you see how it works? You got to do your part so that God will do his part. But your part is nothing. But if your part you don't do it, then you get nothing. That's what synergy means. And what we're going to see today is that God likes synergy. This is how God works. God doesn't need synergy. God can do everything by himself, but he doesn't like to work that way. Think biblically. Think of many of the miracles that Jesus did. For example, 5 loaves and 2 fish. Little boy brought 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus used it to feed 5,000. Did Jesus need the 5 loaves and 2 fish? Did Jesus need the 5 loaves and the 2 fish? Of course not. The 5 loaves and the 2 fish, in light of the 5,000 men plus women and children, the 5 loaves and 2 fish equals nothing. But if there was no 5 loaves and 2 fish, there would have been no miracle for the 5,000. That's synergy. Same thing when Jesus turned water into wine. Did Jesus need them to bring water to him to make wine? Like if you can turn water into wine, you can turn dirt into wine. You can turn the ceiling fan into wine. Like he could have done that. But no, bring me the water. That's synergy. That you do your part, he does his part. I always think of the parting of the Red Sea. When Moses and the Israelites were going to cross the Red Sea, and God said, I'm going to do this great miracle. I'm going to do this great miracle. I'm going to do this great miracle. He also said the same thing to Joshua. He said, you're going to cross the Jordan River. I'm going to make this Jordan River, and I'm going to part it, and you're going to cross it. Well, do you know why that, especially the Jordan River one, you know why that's very dear to my heart, that particular miracle? Because God said, I'm going to do this great miracle. Y'all believe? We all believe. We all believe. We all believe. But do you know how the miracle happened? They get to the front of the river, and it's a raging river. And God said, let the priest stand at the front. And the priest, I'm going to part the river, but only when the priest puts his foot in the river. So I always think, man, that's a great time to not be a priest right there, okay? If there's ever a negative of being in the front of the line, that's when it is. Because it'd be nice to be in the back and be like, go for it. Go for it, Father Anthony. You got it, okay? We're right here, okay? Right behind you. You go. But the way it had to be, did the priest's foot was the priest's foot needed for the part? Of course not. It's not like he had magic and toe cheese or something like that in between there that they made the water. No. But that's synergy. The synergy means you do your part and then I'll do my part. Said another way, our key thought for today. Oh, sorry, here's a verse. Proverbs 21, verse 31, then we'll get to our key thought. Proverbs 21:31 says, the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord. That's synergy. Deliverance, victory comes only for God. But if you don't do your part in preparing, then you won't get deliverance from God. So my part in preparing is what does it? No, your part is nothing. But you got to have your part for God to do his part. Does that make sense? Said another way, here's our key thought. God's full control doesn't negate the need for my full participation. God's full control doesn't negate the need for my full participation. That's what synergy is. You may have heard this said, that we're supposed to pray as if it all depends on God, but work as if it all depends on us. You've heard that before? That's what synergy means. Synergy means God is going to do everything, but I got to do my part. And my part, I always think of the expression waiting on God. Okay, sometimes we take a very passive approach to our spirituality, and we're waiting on God to do, and I need big things to be done in my life. I can't do that. I'm waiting on God, waiting on God. Well, that one also applies to me, because even though I'm a priest right now, in a former life, I was a waiter. Okay, a waiter, a person who waits. And what I discovered is a waiter's job isn't to just sit there and go, I'm waiting until the person's ready. That's not a waiter. That's not a good waiter. What does a waiter do? Oh, are you done with that? Are you ready to order? No, you're not ready? Okay, are you guys over there? And a waiter's constantly moving. All they're doing is waiting. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? And the waiter's always got to be there. We need to learn how to be active waiters on God, not passive waiters. Not just, woe is me, where is God? Active waiters doing our part. And then when we do that, we'll discover that God's full control doesn't negate the need for my full participation. We're going to see that today with Naomi and Ruth.